Marjorie Taylor Greene is wrong again. This time she was on Real Time with Bill Maher, and she defended the arrest of independent journalist Don Lemon, saying that he violated the FACE Act. I'm going to show you the interview, and I'm going to show you why she's dead wrong. Let's discuss. I'm Dave Aronberg, former state attorney for Palm Beach County, a.k.a. the Florida lawman here on Substack. Thanks for your support. Let's keep momentum going. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has resigned from Congress, who was one of Trump's biggest stalwarts, biggest MAGA conspiracy theorists, a whole litany of things that she doesn't want us to bring up now because she's supposedly reformed and has a different mindset and wants us to like her. Well, she's back to her old tricks by saying that Don Lemon should have been arrested for going into the church in Minneapolis and obstructing people trying to pray under the FACE Act. Okay, she's wrong. First, let's see what she said.
Well, I'm going to say he violated the FACE Act. He went into a church, disrupted their worship, and then later in an interview compared them to white supremacists. That's not journalism. That's activism. I had an experience with Don Lemon.
Getting arrested?
Disrupting a worship service, stopping people's right to worship God, that is violation of the FACE Act. And under the Biden administration, pro-lifers were sent to prison up to 11 years for praying in front of an abortion clinic, and they were convicted under the FACE Act.
I know this is going to shock you, but Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is a purveyor of conspiracy theories and has made a career out of lying to people, including her own constituents, she is wrong again. She's lying about the Biden administration prosecuting and putting away these individuals who are supposedly peaceful protesters outside of abortion clinics. First off, keep in mind that the FACE Act is there to protect abortion clinics, but at the same time, houses of worship. The reason why it was passed is because people were blocking the entrances. They were threatening people. And so the law says you can't use force or threaten use force against people in either a abortion clinic or a house of worship, and you can't obstruct them. So you can't go in there in a church and block people from leaving, block people from going in. If you go inside a church and you start protesting, that could be trespass, that could be disorderly conduct. Those are low-level state charges. But the federal felony of violating the FACE Act, it is not, because it requires something more than just protesting. If you go in there and you say, ICE is bad, get ICE out, that's not a violation of the FACE Act. Now, if you said, hey, you're all going to die, we're going to kill you, or something horrible like that, that would be a violation of the FACE Act. Using force, threats of force, or obstructing people. So if you're blocking an abortion clinic, yes, you're violating the FACE Act. If you're peacefully protesting outside, peacefully praying, you're not violating the FACE Act. So something's got to give here, right? Because Marjorie Greene said that Biden used the FACE Act to put in prison people who were just peacefully protesting outside of abortion clinics. Well, that's a lie. It's a Marjorie Taylor Greene alternate fact. And this lie has been repeated by a lot of commentators on the right. This is what they're using as a reason to go after Don Lemon. Mind you, Don Lemon was not obstructing anyone and he wasn't threatening anyone. He was following the story. And although perhaps there's a trespass violation here, there is no FACE violation. There is no federal felony here, unless there's something about it that we don't know about. But the videos, the evidence that's out in the public shows that he was just following the story as a journalist. And that's why a federal judge said, no, there is no crime here. So they went to a grand jury, and, the saying, you can indict a ham sandwich in a grand jury. That case against Don Lemon will fall apart. It will never get to a jury. And Marjorie Taylor Greene will probably deny she ever said this, or maybe she'll go back to stock trading. She was very successful at it in Congress. She was one of the most prolific stock traders, making money off the information she knew in Congress, made a lot of money. So maybe she'll go back to that, but she won't be as successful now that she's out of Congress. And you notice how Marjorie Taylor Greene does not specifically give us examples of individuals who are put in prison because they're peacefully protesting outside of abortion clinics. Well, because they were not. There was a case in 2021 where the Department of Justice under Merrick Garland prosecuted individuals outside of abortion clinics. And the argument is that they were not just praying. They were physically locking themselves together or sitting in front of doors to prevent patients from entering. This was in Mount Juliet, Tennessee. And even though they weren't being violent, the act of blocking the door constituted a federal crime. Okay? Now, the response was that they were engaged in First Amendment protected activity. So that was a debate. But again, they would not be prosecuted just by praying outside of a clinic. There's a case that the conservatives like to bring up, Mark Houck. It's Houck, so however that is pronounced. And that is a well-known case within the anti-abortion community where an anti-abortion protester was arrested by the FBI because he had a confrontation with a clinic escort. He was actually acquitted by a jury because the incident was viewed as a private altercation rather than a targeted violation of the clinic, that this was sort of like a side dispute rather than an attempt to block people or to use force against people who were trying to get in or out of the abortion clinic. So you can see that there's a high burden. You got to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that there's no First Amendment defense here. You got to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that it wasn't just peaceful protesting. And so you got to be able to show me anyone who's been convicted under the FACE Act, who's sitting in prison either then or now because they were just peacefully protesting or praying. And it is ironic that Marjorie Taylor Greene is complaining about this when the Trump administration has moved to pardon many of the people who are convicted under the FACE Act. So if you are convicted under the FACE Act for obstructing, they're going to pardon you. Of course, if you're Don Lemon, they're going to prosecute you. What does Marjorie say about that? So you heard her point of view, and now you know the truth. But that's why you come here to the Substack. I'm Dave Ehrenberg, aka the Florida Lawman. If you like this video, hit the subscribe button, share with a friend, let the truth be known. And we're still a free subscription here, so if you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button. Although we're going to move to a paid model pretty soon. We're going to provide additional content, and I'm excited about it. I hope you'll join us, but we'll always keep a free option as well. So join me here next time, and I'll see you then.